Welcome back to my channel, The Dark Truth Diaries, where we uncover the stories that hide behind everyday smiles and expose the darkness that lives right next door. Tonight's case is one of the most chilling roommate stories you will ever hear. It's a story about trust misplaced, boundaries crossed, and a friendship that twisted into something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. This is not just a tale of betrayal, it's a descent into obsession. A real-life nightmare that unfolded inside an apartment where one woman believed she had found safety, only to discover she was living with someone who saw her not as a friend, but as a possession. So settle in. Dim the lights. Take a deep breath. Because this is the roommate from your nightmares, the case of Jenna and Lacey. 25-year-old Jenna Marshall had never lived with a roommate before. Growing up as an only child and later moving in with her long-term boyfriend, she never had to share her personal space. But after her relationship ended in a painful breakup, Jenna needed a fresh start, new city, new job, new apartment. That's when she found Lacey. The listing described her as early 20s, quiet and friendly, works from home, loves cooking, no drama. And when Jenna met her in person, Lacey seemed perfect, soft-spoken, helpful, even a little shy. The apartment was clean, affordable, and Lacey seemed genuinely excited to live with her. She offered to help Jenna move in and even made homemade cookies on the first night. For the first few weeks, everything felt safe, comforting, almost too perfect. It started with little things. One morning, Jenna noticed Lacey watching her get ready for work. Not casually, intensely. Standing in the hallway silently. Another time, Jenna came home early and heard Lacey in her room. Not knocking, not calling out to her, inside her room. Lacey claimed she thought she heard something fall. Jenna accepted the excuse, but something in Lacey's eyes felt off. Then came the questions. So many questions. Where are you going? Who were you texting? When will you be home? Why didn't you answer your phone at lunch? Jenna brushed it off. Maybe Lacey was lonely. Maybe she was socially awkward. But deep down, Jenna knew these weren't normal roommate questions. Still, the true nightmare hadn't started yet. Not even close. Everything shifted when Jenna got promoted at work. She came home excited, ready to celebrate. But Lacey wasn't happy. In fact, she barely reacted, just stared at Jenna with a strange, forced smile. Later that night, Jenna overheard her talking angrily in her room. She thinks she's better than me. She thinks she can just take whatever she wants. Jenna froze. Who was Lacey talking about? The only other person around was Jenna. That night, she slept lightly, feeling watched. The next weeks were filled with inconveniences Jenna couldn't explain. Her makeup went missing. Her toothbrush was damp when she hadn't used it. Her favorite perfume bottle was half empty. Her clothes were rearranged in her closet. She began locking her bedroom door. But the biggest red flag came when Jenna woke up and found a pot of boiling water on the stove, at 3 a.m. Lacey claimed she forgot, but boiling water at that hour made no sense. Jenna told her friends she was thinking of moving out. If only she knew how dangerous that thought really was. Because Lacey had plans. And she wasn't going to let Jenna leave. Lacey's behavior escalated fast. She became clingy, then hostile, then clingy again, emotional whiplash that left Jenna constantly on edge. Until, one night, Jenna walked into the living room and saw something that made her blood run cold. Lacey was sitting in the dark. On the TV screen was Jenna's public Instagram. Photo after photo, zoomed in on her face. And Lacey was whispering, "She doesn't even know how perfect she is, how much she needs me." Jenna backed away quietly and locked herself in her room. She considered calling the police that night. But she didn't want to overreact. And that decision nearly cost her everything. One Friday evening, Jenna finally had enough. She told Lacey she would be moving out at the end of the month. Lacey froze. Her entire body went stiff. She didn't blink for several seconds. Then she forced a smile, saying, "Of course. I totally understand." But later that night, Jenna heard a loud crash in the kitchen. Followed by sobbing. Followed by laughter. Something inside Lacey had snapped. On the night of March 14th, Jenna returned home from dinner with a friend. And immediately felt it. Something was wrong. The apartment was too quiet. Lights were off except one. Her bedroom door was slightly open. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't left it open. Jenna reached for her phone to call for help, but it wasn't in her purse. It wasn't anywhere. She whispered into the darkness. "Lacey, are you home?" Silence. Then, a soft voice behind her. "Why are you leaving me?" Jenna spun around. Lacey stood there in the hallway, holding Jenna's phone. Her eyes were glassy. Her smile stretched unnaturally. "You weren't supposed to see the room yet," she whispered. "What room?" Jenna asked, terrified. Lacey turned her head slowly. "The one I made for us." Then she grabbed Jenna's wrist hard. Jenna screamed and fought back, breaking free long enough to run toward her bedroom. She slammed the door and locked it. But Lacey began pounding on the door, screaming, "You can't leave. You belong here with me." When the pounding stopped, Jenna didn't feel relief. She felt dread. Because now she heard dragging noises. Something heavy being moved. Jenna used her desk to block the door and climbed out the window onto the fire escape. As she climbed down, she heard Lacey scream from inside. "You ruined everything." Jenna sprinted to a neighbor's door and banged until they opened. They called the police. When officers entered the apartment, they found Lacey sitting calmly on the couch as if nothing had happened. But what they found in her locked spare room was worse than anyone imagined. Dozens of photos of Jenna, printed and arranged on the wall. Jenna's clothes hidden under Lacey's bed. A journal describing Jenna's daily behaviors. A list titled Ways to Make Her Stay. And at the center of the room, a makeshift bed with 2 pillows and a note that read, "Roommates forever." Lacey was arrested immediately and diagnosed with a severe delusional disorder and obsession fixation. Jenna moved out that same night. Even after Lacey was taken away, Jenna struggled for months. Nightmares. Panic attacks. A constant feeling of being watched. She later said in an interview, "Living with someone obsessed with you is like sleeping next to a ticking bomb. You don't know when it'll explode, but you can feel it humming." Today, Jenna lives in a secure building with close friends nearby. She checks every lock twice. She never shares her address publicly. And she never lives with strangers again. The case of Jenna and Lacey proves one thing. Sometimes the scariest monsters aren't in the dark. They're sitting on the couch across from you. Cooking in your kitchen. Sharing your hallway. Calling you roommate. While planning something far more sinister. If you enjoy this story, kindly like, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. Thank you.